In Belgium there are approximately now 4 or 5 cannabis clubs. The cannabis clubs in Belgium are clearly inspired by the Spanish model, the Spanish cannabis social clubs, and there are remarkable similarities between the two. Like in Spain, the cannabis movement has made use of some grey legal areas in the legislation, and for example in Belgium the drug legislation now allows one adult to have one female cannabis plant, and that's why these Belgian cannabis social clubs argue if one person is allowed to have one plant, then 50 people can have 50 plants and grow them together. So basically it's similar like in Spain. They make use of a legal area in the legislation. The clubs, in my opinion, are an interesting model to look at if you are interested in studying alternative drug policies, because of course in Belgium too, like in many other places in the world, there is a growing awareness that the war on drugs does not work, and that prohibition of cannabis creates criminality, criminal involvement, etc. So in the discussions about alternative drug policies, this model I think is really interesting to look at. In Spain, the governments have waited for a very long time to think about regulating the cannabis social clubs. But in Belgium, as in many other European countries, there are discussions about this war on drugs, which doesn't work, looking for alternatives. And of course, there's a long way ahead of us, but you can see that there is a growing awareness of the failure of the war on drugs, the need for a serious debate on alternative regulation. For example, in the Netherlands, there are more than 40 mayors of cities that have asked their central government to allow them to experiment with regulation of cannabis cultivation, the back door of the coffee shops in the Netherlands. So there are many places where I would say from bottom up there is discussion about alternative policies, because there is a growing awareness that change in the debate will not come from the international bodies and the change of the international treaties. My feeling is that the international treaties will not be changed very soon. It's probably going to be changed when there is already a change in reality at the local level. You can see that at the local level, in cities, in regions, people are trying to look for solutions to get out of the discussion. We have waited for many years for a change on the international level, a discussion about the change of the international treaties. But more and more people realize that this is probably the last thing that will happen, and that change is going to come from grassroots initiatives, local experiments, local governments trying to be creative and try to find new models. You can see that in the Netherlands, where the Minister of Justice says we will not experiment with legalization of cannabis because the international treaties don't allow it. But you can see that the mayors of the cities are uniting. They have written a document which is called Joint Regulation, in which they ask for some space to have local experiments. You can see also in Belgium that there are discussions about the policy as it stands today, that it doesn't work, that we need to critically evaluate it. And so I think in the next years in several European countries you will see these things happening. Of course, many people also in Europe are looking at the developments in Latin America, what is going to happen with the Uruguayan experiment, if I can call it like that. Everybody is looking at Colorado, at Washington. So the world is looking at these places to see if they can learn from it, and if some of these experiments are successful, then I think it will inspire other local authorities and national authorities to think more explicitly about alternative cannabis policies.